It's 21 minutes past 8. Have you heard of the Roland TR 808? Probably not. It was a drum machine that was produced in the early 80s. It was a commercial disaster and it was soon taken off the market. Have you heard the 808? The answer is definitely yes. It's featured on everything from songs by Talking Heads to Beyoncé to Whitney Houston. It also formed the backbone of 80s and 90s dance music. It's still being used in hip-hop, which is not bad, really, for a product that was only around for 3 years. The machine is now being reissued, but how did the original become so popular? We asked the musician and producer Graham Massey, who named his band 808 State after the machine, to explain its appeal.
This is the Roland Rhythm Composer TR-808. It's a box that's about a foot long. It looks kind of military-grade industrial. It's the sound palette of this machine that made it a cut above the other drum machines that were around at the time. It has this devastating bass drum, which if you turn it up like that, it just absolutely can shake a room. Put that through a nightclub PA system and you can vibrate bodies. All the other sounds are quite crisp and high-end. So you'll recognise certain standout sounds from it, one of them being the cowbell, this quite discordant clanging sound that, funnily enough, ended up in a lot of bedroom soul, you know, things like Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye. Music producers from all different backgrounds began to use the machine in all kinds of different contexts. In the 1980s, there was a rapid growth in music technology. Something came along in 1983 that made the TR-808 semi-redundant and forced it into the pawn shops, which is where a lot of the hip-hop producers began to get their hands on an earlier generation of music technology. There's always people using the cutting edge of technology, but there's always this fantastic creative force that's slightly behind using slightly older technology, which is where the 808 really blossomed. A great example of early hip-hop and the use of the 808 is Planet Rock by Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. It's a much tougher approach to a Kraftwerk track. It quotes from a Kraftwerk track. I mean, Kraftwerk does sound great in a club, but it doesn't sound as tough as that in a club. It's got the full-bodied bass of the 808. It's got the crisp, snappy snare of the 808. It suddenly fits into a nightclub sound system in a big way. The old style of nightclubbing didn't appeal to most people in Manchester in the late 80s. So when we were looking for a name for our nightclub act, our rave act, we chose the 808 simply because it had this commonality in nightclub music. You know, it could go in any direction. The cowbell sound will drive a little synthesizer over here if I plug it in the right hole. So I'll just input some notes randomly. Then I go back to the 808, programming the cowbell. You see how the synthesizer is now responding to the cowbell sound. And this synthesizer
bass. Hi-hat. 808.
But I know y'all wanted that 808. Can you feel that bass bass? But I know y'all wanted that 808. Can you feel that bass bass?
34 years since its conception, the 808 still gets referenced in music. The sounds of the 808 lived on. For a person like me that's spent years around music technology, these humble little boxes tend to take on personalities. I often wonder whether they're in my mind or they actually do exist within the circuit boards and the quirks in technology from certain periods in time. There's something so special about a Roland 808 in terms of its feel. I know to a layman all these machines make just sound the same, but the history of music will prove otherwise.
Graham Massey there talking to a colleague of ours, Adam Cumiskey. It's now 26 minutes past 8, which means it's time for some sports news, and Gary's back with us.